Hello and welcome to this edition of Express News, your window to the top 100 stories making headlines across India and the world in the space of just half an hour. Well, let's begin now. The Supreme Court hears pleas seeking removal of anti-CAA protesters from Delhi's Shaheen Bagh area, observes that roads cannot be blocked indefinitely. Protests must be held at designated places so that common people cannot be put to inconvenience. Next hearing scheduled for Monday the 17th. Advocate Amit Sahni, one of the petitioners in the case, says court has taken up this issue of road blockage very seriously and will decide whether protesters can block roads without permission. Advocate Tanveer Ahmed Khan, representing protesters, says judges did not ask to lift protesters from the site and will give final order only after hearing the side of the protesters. Crucial ruling by Supreme Court in Sabrimala case, 9-judge Constitution bench says added issues can be referred to higher bench for review. Constitution bench frames 7 questions on issues relating to freedom of religion on which the review bench can hear the case. Supreme Court upholds constitutional validity of SC/ST Prevention of Atrocities Amendment Act 2018 that ruled out any provision for anticipatory bail for a person accused of atrocities against SC/STs. Centre had filed a review petition before the Supreme Court asking to review its order passed on March 20th, 2018. In the same case, Justice S. Ravindra Bhatt penned down a separate order concurring with Justice Arun Mishra and added a caveat that pre-arrest bail should be granted only in extraordinary situations, where a denial of bail would mean miscarriage of justice. Union Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar announces that Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate 13th Conference of Parties of the UN Convention on the Conservation of Migratory Species through video conferencing. Minister also says this is the second COP that India is hosting, which will be focused on conservation of migratory species of wild animals. Union Minister Prakash Javadekar says India has always believed in nature as a part of one's life, adds that the Conference of Parties will focus on ways to preserve migratory species from threat. Conference will take place from 15 to 22nd February 2020. Furor in both houses of Parliament over Supreme Court's recent ruling on SC/ST quota on promotions. Social Justice and Empowerment Minister Thawar Chand says government is holding high-level discussions on the Apex Court's decision that reservations for jobs promotions is not fundamental right. Minister clears government was never made a party in this matter. LJP Chief and MP Chirag Paswan says NDA government has always taken steps to strengthen reservations. Speaking in Lok Sabha, Chirag says act related to atrocities on SC/ST people has been taken very seriously by the government. Chairperson of National Commission for Scheduled Castes, Ram Shankar Kataria, denies allegations of Congress leader Rahul Gandhi on SC/ST reservation as baseless and weak. Chairperson says steps taken by government was empowering scheduled castes and not otherwise. National Commission for Women takes cognizance of alleged assault on students of Delhi's Gargi College for Women. Team of NCW visits the college. Students have alleged that a large number of men barged into their campus, harassing them during their annual fest. Speaking on alleged sexual assault by outsiders on students of Gargi College, National Commission for Women Chairperson Rekha Sharma says team of NCW have been sent to Gargi College and strict action will be taken once the matter gets clear. On Gargi College case, Human Resource Development Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal says issue has come to government's notice that some outsiders entered the college, which is not right. In Lok Sabha, he said that the college administration has been asked to look into it. Counting of votes for 70 seats in Delhi Assembly will take place tomorrow. Delhi Chief Electoral Officer Ranbir Singh says voter turnout in Delhi Assembly polls stands at 62.59%. Highest voting of 71.6% reported from Balimara constituency, while the lowest was in Delhi Cantonment at 45.4%. Gender gap this time at Delhi Assembly election stands at record low of 0.07% for any Assembly election in NCT, with women recording voter turnout of 62.55%. In a letter to Chinese President Xi Jinping, Prime Minister Narendra Modi expresses solidarity with President Xi and the people of China over outbreak of coronavirus in the country, offers assistance to China to deal with the outbreak, conveys India's appreciation for China's assistance in evacuation of Indians from Hubei province. Chinese ambassador to India Sun Weidong thanks Prime Minister Narendra Modi for the friendly gesture. In a tweet, says he looks forward to further cooperation. Government of India fully alert in view of coronavirus outbreak. No new case reported other than 3 already positive cases from Kerala. According to Health Ministry, over 9,400 people are presently under community surveillance in 32 states and union territories. Universal screening for all flights from Singapore and Thailand besides Hong Kong and China already ongoing at earmarked aero bridges. Screening of passengers is now on in all 21 airports, international seaports and border crossings. Meanwhile, samples of all 406 people who returned from Wuhan and who are being housed at quarantine facilities of Indo-Tibetan Border Police in New Delhi have been found negative. Periodical checkups are being done as per medical protocol. Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan informs members of Lok Sabha that 3 persons are being treated for coronavirus in India and further detail about the steps taken by the government to deal with the impact of the Chinese outbreak. Dr. Harshvardhan says travel advisory to and from China is being revised at regular intervals as the suspected cases are being treated accordingly. Speaking in Lok Sabha on current economic situation, Minister of State for Finance Anurag Thakur says huge investment will come in the country in the near future and the government has taken all possible steps for every sector. An 18-day-long focused Ek Bharat Shresht Bharat campaign began today across the country. The campaign, being organized by the Information and Broadcasting Ministry, will continue till the 28th of this month. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had mooted the idea of a cultural connect between different regions during the Rashtriya Ekta Divas held in 2015. Chief of Staff of Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force is on a visit to India and was accorded a ceremonial guard of honor today. Admiral Hiroshi Yamamura was received by Admiral Karambir Singh in New Delhi at South Block. They will be holding talks on the Navy-to-Navy cooperation and joint exercises. State-owned BHEL says it has commissioned 2 units of Kameng hydroelectric project in Arunachal Pradesh. Kameng project is a run-of-the-river scheme which will utilize the flow from Bichom and Tenga rivers. Public procurement worth 40,000 crore rupees taken place during the government's online marketplace GEM. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman in her 2020-21 budget speech had said government is looking to increase turnover of GEM portal to 3 lakh crore rupees. Facebook acquires Cape Technologies, London-based computer vision startup working on location accuracy beyond the capabilities of GPS. The cloud-based visual positioning service translates images into 3D maps that deliver precise outdoor location across entire cities. Market benchmark Sensex closes 162 points lower at 40,979.62 due to heavy sell-offs mainly in auto and metal stocks and as investors continue to gauge the severity of coronavirus outbreak and its economic impact. Broader NSE Nifty slipped 66.85 points to 12,031.50. Gold prices rise by 52 rupees to 41,508 rupees per 10 grams in the national capital, helped by strong global cues. Silver prices jump 190 rupees to 47,396 rupees per kg from 47,206 rupees per kg in previous trade. Crude oil futures fall by 20 rupees to 3,597 per barrel after participants reduced positions even as oil gained in overseas markets. Rupee settles 10 paise higher at 71.30 against the US dollar on lower crude prices, weak dollar. Electric vehicles including scooters, bikes and SUVs are attracting visitors coming to the Auto Expo 2020 being held in Greater Noida. Thousands of auto enthusiasts who flocked to the expo were seen looking out for new cars and two-wheeler models at different stalls. The 2020 Venice Carnival opened on Saturday with thousands of Venetians and tourists lining the banks of the canals to watch the parade of floats. During the day, people wore fancy dress and walked around the city, posing in St. Mark's Square. The China Media Group put on a special television show for this year's Lantern Festival on Saturday, conveying love, hope and prayers as the country is battling against novel coronavirus epidemic. During the show, without an audience, 6 star anchors of China Central Television recited a poem out loud to tell stories of ordinary Chinese people guarding the front lines of the epidemic control. Viral outbreak that began in China, coronavirus has infected more than 40,600 people globally, with 908 deaths in China and among 40,171 confirmed cases on the mainland. However, WHO has warned that overseas coronavirus spread may be just tip of the iceberg. Ireland's Indian origin Prime Minister Leo Varadkar suffers bruising general election as his Liberal Conservative Fine Gael wins the popular vote in a general election. As the poll results poured in overnight on Sunday, Varadkar's party was pushed down to 3rd place with Sinn Féin in the lead. Voting takes place on Saturday across the country when over 3.3 million people voted to elect 159 members for the lower chamber of parliament in Dublin. In Germany, Storm Sabine hits North Sea coast on Sunday, disrupting normal life as 150 flights and train services cancelled due to strong winds. German Met Service says Sabine will continue to batter the country's northwest region and then gradually travel towards Bavaria. Britain and Ireland also lashed by howling winds and inundated with driving rain after Storm Ciara hits western coast of the countries. More than 30,000 homes left without power, largely in eastern England. Meanwhile, in Ireland, over 14,000 homes and businesses are without power. Voters in Switzerland strongly backed a new law against homophobia in a referendum to protect lesbians, gays and bisexuals from discrimination. Preliminary figures on Sunday showed 60.5% voted in favor of widening existing laws against discrimination of incitement to hatred on ethnic or religious grounds. Iran on Sunday successfully launched a satellite but failed to put it into orbit. The attempted launch of the Zafar comes days before the 41st anniversary of the Islamic Revolution and crucial parliamentary elections in Iran. As cited by a ministry spokesman, the satellite was successfully launched and went 90% of the way, reaching an altitude of 540 kilometers. But unfortunately, in the final moments, the carrier did not reach the required speed to put it into orbit. The United States, however, said the launch of the carrier rocket was a violation of a 2015 UN Security Council resolution endorsing the International Accord on Curbing Tehran's nuclear program. In Beirut, at least 20 civilians are killed on Sunday as Syrian regime forces are poised to retake a key motorway connecting Damascus to second city Aleppo after weeks of battles in the rebel-held Idlib region. United Nations and aid groups appeal for an end to hostilities in Idlib region, warning that the exodus risks creating one of the worst humanitarian catastrophes of the nearly 9-year war. Once again, thousands of Iraqis march in the cities of Baghdad, Najaf and Nasiriyah on Sunday against the newly appointed Prime Minister Mohammad Alawi and condemned recent attacks on protesters carried out by followers of populist cleric Muqtada al-Sadr. In another escalation of tensions, Israeli military blocked Palestinian agricultural exports through Jordan. This comes amid fears of renewed violence in the region over the Middle East plan backed by the United States. The crisis erupted in September when Palestinians decided to stop importing meat from Israel. Almost 10 major websites of Israeli security forces have been the target for more than 10,000 cyber attacks each during the past 3 months. The database in a report by Israeli-US cybersecurity firm Imperva also shows that some 40 other Israeli law and government websites were cyber-attacked more than 1,000 times each. In Azerbaijan, President Ilham Aliyev's ruling party celebrates a win in parliamentary polls, but the opposition claimed the election was totally falsified. According to preliminary results, the ruling New Azerbaijan Party won 69 seats in the National Assembly. However, the independent candidates received 41 seats. In Afghanistan, 2 U.S. service members were killed when their vehicle struck an improvised explosive device. The service members who were conducting operations as part of NATO's Resolute Support Mission have not been identified. The Taliban claimed responsibility for the explosion. In solidarity by holding candles, thousands attended a vigil in Thailand's Nakhon Ratchasima province on Sunday, a day after a soldier went on the rampage, killing at least 30 and wounding 57. Monks led prayers as people laid down white flowers in memory of the victims at the vigil. In Thailand, the death toll from Saturday's 16-hour shooting rampage at the hands of a disgruntled Thai soldier has now risen to 30 with 57 wounded. The incident was the deadliest mass shooting ever in Thailand by a single gunman. Indonesia's President Joko Widodo meets with his Australian counterpart Scott Morrison in Canberra, with the two leaders discussing trade, energy and coronavirus. A plan of action for the comprehensive strategic partnership was signed by foreign ministers, which outline the practical cooperation for 2020 to 24. A gunman opened fire inside a New York City police station on Sunday morning, striking a lieutenant in the arm. The gunman, who was arrested at the police station, had already ambushed a patrol van in the same neighborhood the night before, wounding an officer. Meanwhile, in the United States, Democratic presidential candidate Pete Buttigieg punches back at Senator Bernie Sanders, rebutting Sanders' latest talking point that he accepts political donations from the ultra-wealthy. He countered that he has never hesitated to stand up to industry. Moreover, Democratic presidential candidate Senator Bernie Sanders says the Democratic establishment is getting a little bit nervous just days before New Hampshire becomes the second state to weigh in on the Democratic race for the White House. Argentina's Vice President Cristina Fernandez says the country would not make any debt payments whilst its country is in recession. The country, which is grappling with about $100 billion in sovereign debt, is seeking to restructure with its creditors, including the International Monetary Fund. The African Union Summit opened in the Ethiopian capital Addis Ababa on Sunday, with the heads of African states expected to discuss the threat of militancy in the Sahel region and peace-building efforts in Libya. India Vice Captain Ajinkya Rahane warms up for Test Series in New Zealand with an unbeaten 101 for the touring ace side in the drawn 4-day game against New Zealand A. In response to New Zealand A's 386 for 9, India A reached 467 for 5 in 109.3 overs when the game ended in a draw on the fourth and final day. Bangladesh created history as its under-19 team scored an easy victory over India to lift the ICC Under-19 World Cup in Potchefstroom in South Africa. Bangladesh defeated the defending champions and 4-time winners India by 3 wickets to clinch its maiden Under-19 World Cup title. Some of the biggest names of cricket came together in Melbourne to play a charity cricket game, the Bushfire Bash, to help raise money for Australia's bushfire victims. The appeal has raised over $7.7 million, with 2 former Australian captains, Ricky Ponting and Adam Gilchrist, ex-India batsman Sachin Tendulkar and former West Indies skipper Brian Lara were also in attendance. Kolkata Knight Riders rope in former England wicketkeeper James Foster as their fielding coach for the 13th session of the Indian Premier League beginning next month. The appointment was confirmed by the franchise in its official Twitter handle. Foster will replace former Assam cricketer Subhadeep Ghosh, who had joined the franchise before the last edition. Bangladesh government to organize a public reception to celebrate the country's Under-19 World Cup triumph, that is its first in an ICC tournament across all levels. Kane Williamson has been declared fit to lead New Zealand in the third ODI against India, with the hosts also adding leg spinner Ish Sodhi and pacer Blair Tickner to their squad for the final game. Pakistan completes a crushing innings and 44-run victory over Bangladesh in the fourth morning on Monday, taking a 1-0 lead in two-test series. Bangladesh were bowled out for 168 in their second innings after resuming the day on 126 for 6, as Pakistan's pace and spin attack was too hot to handle despite a flat Rawalpindi Stadium pitch. Ace QS Aditya Mehta defeats multiple-time world champion Pankaj Advani 6-2 to win the National Snooker Championship in Pune. Mehta, who represented the Petroleum Sports Promotion Board in the clash, started off with a bang after winning the first frame with a break of 103, while the score remained 103 to 17. Sofia Kenin and Bethany Maddox-Sands defeat Yelena Ostapenko and Anastasia Sevastova 6-4, 6-0 in a deciding doubles, as the US survived the challenge to beat unheralded Latvia 3-2 and reach the Fed Cup finals. In a major revamp, the Badminton Association of India announced the introduction of a multi-level domestic tournament structure, which will have a combined prize money of approximately 2 crore rupees. Decision to restructure the domestic tournament setup was taken at the Executive Council meeting of BAI. Unfazed by coronavirus fears, a full-strength Indian men's team lands in the Philippines to compete at the Asia Team Championships from Tuesday, eyeing a medal-winning performance which will give players crucial ranking points in the Olympic year. Barcelona great Andres Iniesta set to light up AFC Champions League. Chinese clubs have been sidelined because of the coronavirus as the disrupted continental competition starts this week. Former world champion Marco Delago from Austria wins second AT-SX 500 race of the season in Rautalampi ahead of another ice cross master Kyle Croxall, and ideally prepares the AT-SX 1000 summit scheduled for next week in Japan. Real Madrid maintain their 3-point lead at the top of La Liga by coming from behind to defeat Osasuna 4-1. Osasuna made their positive start as Garcia headed in from Ruben Garcia's corner, but their good work was undone before halftime as Isco volleyed in from close range and Ramos headed in when unmarked at the back post from a corner. Barcelona beat Real Betis 3-2 to close the gap on La Liga leaders Real Madrid. The champions twice came from behind to level before Lenglet headed in Lionel Messi's 73rd minute free kick. Trailing 3-2, Betis were reduced to 10 men after Nabil Fekir received 2 yellow cards in quick succession, but Lenglet's dismissal made for a tense finale. Urs Huber and Simon Stiebjan claim victory in the Tangwa Trek cycling race in South Africa as riders battled rough terrain across 4 days in the country's Western Cape. The Bulls Heroes duo finished in the top 3 in 3 of the 4 stages, winning Friday's stage 2. Bundesliga leaders Bayern Munich drew 0-0 with visiting RB Leipzig on Sunday, missing their chance to increase their lead at the top of the table, with their opponent staying a point behind in second place. Bayern, top on 43 points, enjoyed possession in a dominant first half but failed to score despite chances from Robert Lewandowski. Complexity Gaming won their first FIFA E-Club World Cup after a penalty shootout with Gareth Bale's new team, 11s. In the first leg of the final, Complexity Gaming dominated their opponents in a 2-0 win, while the second leg went the opposite way with 11s victorious 2-1. Indian Grandmaster Dronavali Harika plays out a hard-fought draw against former champion Alexandra Kostyuk in first game of third round in the Women's World Chess Championships. World silver medalist Mondo Duplantis realizes a lifetime dream when he breaks the pole vault world record, soaring 6.17 meters on his second attempt at a World Athletics Indoor Tour meeting in Torun in Poland. In news from the science world, a new probe built by NASA and the European Space Agency sets off on a blazing hot journey to the Sun on Sunday to take the first close-up look at the star's polar regions, a mission expected to yield insight into how solar radiant energy affects the Earth. February's full moon shone brightly on Sunday over the Greek capital, illuminating the ancient columns of the Parthenon in the night sky. The moon will be closest to the Earth for this orbit on Monday, according to NASA. In Mexico, conservationists returned 7 turtles back to the wild, following recovery after they consumed sea salps that exhibited high levels of algae toxins which had swept through Mexico's Oaxacan coastline. The phenomenon is caused by algal blooms that become so strong that coastal waters often turn red. Alphabet unit in Google's fight against a €2.4 billion antitrust fine will be played out over 3 days from February 12 to 14 at Europe's second highest court under charges of favoring its own price comparison shopping service. News now from the world of entertainment. 92nd Academy Awards presented today at Los Angeles Derby Theatre. Ceremony opted to go without a designated host after employing that approach in 2019. Actor Joaquin Phoenix wins Best Actor Oscar for Joker. Renée Zellweger takes home Best Actress Oscar for Judy. South Korean film Parasite wins Best Picture Oscar, while its director Boon Joong-ho creates history, winning award for Best Director category. Parasite was also premiered at IFFI's Golden Jubilee at Goa in November 2019. Superstar Brad Pitt wins Maiden Acting Oscar as Best Supporting Actor for his performance as stuntman Cliff Booth in Quentin Tarantino's Hollywood memory capsule Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Meanwhile, Best Supporting Actress Oscar handed to Laura Dern for Marriage Story. Toy Story 4 awarded in the category for Best Animated Movie like its predecessor in 2011. Hair Love, which follows the story of a man who has to do his daughter's hair for the first time, wins Oscar for Best Animated Short. Neighbours Window, directed and written by Marshall Curry, wins Best Live Action Short. Another Best Picture nominee, writer-director Taika Waititi, wins Best Adapted Screenplay for satire Jojo Rabbit, which he also directed and starred in as Adolf Hitler. Barack Obama's production debut American Factory wins Oscar in Best Documentary category. Widely planned movie musical Cats and 4 of its stars nominated on Saturday for Razzie Awards, an annual ritual that lampoons the worst of cinema. Tyler Perry's A Medea Family Funeral and Sylvester Stallone's Rambo Last Blood won other nominations. Audiences enthralled by Malayalam play Mali at Bharat Rang Mahotsav at Delhi yesterday. Based on folklore of the tribal god Ayappan, play lashes out at traditional beliefs regarding notions of impurity around menstruation. First Jerusalem Mumbai Festival to be held in Mumbai this week to showcase special links between the two cities and to promote ties between India and Israel, including artistic cooperation in diverse fields. And that's all we have for you in this edition of Express News. We'll be back again tomorrow at the same time on DD India. Keep watching as news and updates continue. Namaskar.